The Fuyuan residential area in Xianyang City, China, was once known as a peaceful place, but now it is shrouded in a dark atmosphere after a horrifying crime. The wife of a prosecutor was brutally murdered in her home. She was viciously attacked while wearing her nightgown. The dim light reflected off the chilling streaks of red blood. During the investigation, police were shocked to find 138 bullets hidden alongside millions of dollars in valuable stocks. These pieces of evidence began to unravel a darker, more complicated story. The news of this shocking crime quickly spread across China. Rumors of power deals, money, and revenge pushed the investigation into a whirlwind of unimaginable secrets. But when the true culprit was discovered, everyone was left in disbelief. So, how did this case unfold? Let's explore together with Crime Documentary Files. At the Chengdu District Police Station in Xianyang City, China, a group of officers was working when the sudden ring of the phone shattered the quiet atmosphere. One of the officers picked up, his face growing tense as he listened to the urgent voice on the other end of the line. There had been a murder in the Fuyuan neighborhood. None of the officers could have imagined a murder taking place here, in a neighborhood where most residents were either wealthy business people or high-ranking government officials. Additionally, the area's security was known to be top-notch. The Chengdu District Police immediately rushed to the crime scene. Upon arrival, they discovered that the victim was the wife of a prominent local prosecutor. The event sent shockwaves through the community. Chen Bing, the victim's husband, appeared grief-stricken, surrounded by several friends. He approached the police and explained the situation, recounting the events in a choked voice as he struggled to contain his emotions while describing the horrific incident that had just happened to his wife. Chen Bing recounted that, as usual, he left for work at the prosecutor's office that morning, leaving his wife, Wang Ling, still fast asleep at home. As a private business owner, she didn't need to wake up early. He didn't think much of it and hurried out of the house. However, while he was at work, he unexpectedly received a call from a friend named Liu. Liu said, "I need to speak with Wang Ling urgently, but I can't reach her. Her phone keeps going straight to voicemail." This made Chen Bing anxious. He tried calling their landline at home, but no one picked up. Chen Bing's professional instincts kicked in, and he felt something was wrong. He immediately called a neighbor who lived on the third floor, asking them to knock on the door and wake up his wife. The neighbor knocked for a long time but got no response. Meanwhile, Chen Bing kept trying to reach his wife's cell phone, but it remained off. This heightened his concern, as Wang Ling was very responsible with her work and always kept her phone on 24/7. Now, several hours had passed, and there was still no way to contact her. Worried about his wife's safety, Chen Bing and a few friends returned to their home in the Fuyuan neighborhood late at night. When they arrived, he realized he had forgotten his keys. Chen Bing knocked on the door repeatedly, but there was still no answer. One of his friends climbed over the balcony from the adjacent apartment to get inside. However, since the balcony door was locked, they could only look through the glass and saw Wang Ling lying motionless on the bed, with blood all over the place. The friend immediately cried out. Chen Bing quickly called the police. When the police arrived, they broke the lock and were met with a horrifying scene inside. The victim, Wang Ling, was lying on the bed in her pink nightgown. Her face was covered with clothing, and her chest and abdomen were covered in wounds, while the lower part of her body was completely exposed. There were even a few strands of male hair left in her genital area. Her body had been tied with nylon cords and lay on blood-soaked bedsheets. Her eyes were wide open, and her mouth was gagged, creating a chaotic and disturbing sight. Signs of a violent struggle were evident on the floor, with 2 sets of shoe prints indicating a brutal fight had taken place before Wang Ling's death. The presence of scattered bloodstains throughout the room, along with blood on the victim's sleeves, led police to suspect the involvement of a third party, aside from Chen Bing and Wang Ling. Although the room showed signs of a struggle, the perpetrator left no fingerprints, and both the windows and doors remained intact. A thorough examination of the crime scene revealed additional suspicious evidence, further complicating the mystery of the murder. a large quantity of ammunition, including 138 bullets, as well as over 100,000 yuan in cash and securities worth approximately 2 million yuan, equivalent to about $280,000, were found in the home of Chen Bing and Wang Ling. Chen Bing explained that, as a prosecutor, he had the legal right to possess a service weapon and claimed that the ammunition had been a gift from a soldier friend. As for the large amount of cash and valuable securities, he stated that they were from his wife Wang Ling's business dealings, and he claimed to have no knowledge of these assets. Due to Chen Bing's prominent position as a high-ranking government official, and with his upcoming promotion to chief prosecutor, the brutal murder of his wife quickly drew public attention. Recognizing the severity of the case, the police formed an investigative team and immediately got to work. According to the autopsy report, Wang Ling sustained 21 stab wounds, each one fatal, indicating that the perpetrator acted with extreme hatred or had an innately violent nature. The police considered several theories. The first theory was the possibility of a break-in with the intention to rob, as traces of blood-stained gloves were scattered at the scene. However, this conflicted with the fact that a large amount of cash remained untouched in the cabinet, and the drawers had not been disturbed, even though their contents were not well hidden. Some detectives speculated that the suspect may have committed the murder and then panicked, fleeing without taking anything. However, upon further investigation, they discovered that the suspect had stayed at the crime scene for at least 30 minutes after committing the murder, ruling out the possibility of fleeing in panic. This made the theory of a robbery gone wrong followed by murder seem unlikely. The second theory was that the break-in's primary goal was to kill the victim. Wang Ling's arms were tied behind her naked body on the bed, with signs of a struggle, and several strands of male hair were found in her genital area that did not belong to Chen Bing. Initially, this led the police to suspect that the crime involved breaking in and sexual assault. However, after a thorough forensic examination, no signs of assault were found on Wang Ling's body, and no traces of semen were discovered, indicating the suspect had not sexually assaulted Wang Ling. This raised questions about the source of the male hair and whether the suspect intended to kill after successfully breaking in. The final theory revolved around the possibility that the killer acted out of love or revenge. The police began to suspect that the case might be related to conflicts in Wang Ling's personal life. However, after investigating, they found that Wang Ling was an upstanding woman with no rumors of any illicit relationships or enemies in her business dealings. She treated her employees well, leaving the police unable to determine whether this was a crime motivated by love or revenge. This forced them to shift their focus to Wang Ling's husband, Chen Bing. During the investigation, the police considered Chen Bing's unique position at work and hypothesized that criminals he had previously prosecuted might have broken into his home to exact revenge by killing his wife and staging the crime scene to mislead the investigation. However, the police found no weapon or other tools used in the crime, and the evidence at the scene was insufficient to identify the perpetrator. As a result, the case hit a dead end. Chen Bing later organized a grand funeral for his wife, expressing his deep sorrow and hoping the police would soon find the killer. However, more than 2 months had passed since the crime occurred, and the police still had no significant progress in the investigation. A detective discovered that the relationship between Chen Bing and Wang Ling was far from good. They frequently argued, and at times their fights would escalate to physical violence, disturbing their neighbors. Wang Ling's close friend also revealed that Wang Ling's business was actually controlled by Chen Bing. He leveraged his power and social connections to secretly manage everything, while Wang Ling merely acted as the public face. Additionally, Chen Bing exploited his position for corruption, accepting bribes, and he was involved in money laundering. He also had numerous mistresses. In 1996, Wang Ling caught Chen Bing in bed with another woman. The woman was a recent college graduate in banking. Although Chen Bing became more discreet afterward, he continued the affair with the student, and they even had a child together. Shockingly, the woman introduced her younger sister to Chen Bing, and he maintained relationships with both siblings simultaneously. Chen Bing spent a significant amount of money on his sugar babies. This infuriated Wang Ling, prompting her to tighten control over the company, particularly the finances, preventing Chen Bing from using company funds to support his illicit affairs. This control led to increasing resentment from Chen Bing, and their marital conflicts intensified. The police later found 20 farewell letters in Wang Ling's company safe, along with 6 notebooks. The contents of these items largely corroborated what Wang Ling's close friend had shared. Considering all these circumstances, the police concluded that Chen Bing was the prime suspect in his wife's murder. However, the major crime investigation team believed that due to Chen Bing's prominent position and the lack of solid evidence, they couldn't rush to a conclusion. They invited Mr. Wu Guoqing, a former seasoned criminal investigator, to join the investigation. His involvement shifted the course of the case. Mr. Wu Guoqing led his team to re-examine the crime scene. He meticulously searched every corner of the room and discovered 2 faint bloodstains on the bedspread, along with a very distinctive knife mark. It was from a slightly curved blade, which matched the wounds on Wang Ling's body perfectly. From this, they were able to identify the shape of the murder weapon. Wu Guoqing also analyzed the scene further and found that although there were only 2 shoe prints at the crime scene, they were all facing inward, with no footprints leading out of the house. The fact that the footprints didn't overlap suggested something unusual. Upon a more thorough examination of Wang Ling's body, he discovered that she could have survived the first 4 stab wounds. However, there were no bruises or abrasions around the areas where she had been tied, indicating no signs of a struggle. This seemed illogical, as even if she had been tightly bound, it's hard to believe that a victim wouldn't have reacted in some way when facing a deadly weapon. Wu Guoqing concluded that Wang Ling had likely lost consciousness before being attacked. He then instructed the investigative team to perform more extensive blood tests and examine the residual contents of the victim's stomach. The results revealed that Wang Ling had ingested a large amount of sedatives before being killed. However, there were no injection marks on her body, nor was any medication found at the crime scene. Based on these findings, Wu Guoqing deduced that Wang Ling had likely taken the sedatives herself before her death. He also revisited Chen Bing's initial statement, where he claimed he left the house after 7 a.m. Wu Guoqing speculated that Chen Bing might have left after Wang Ling had already died. This caused Wu Guoqing to direct the investigation toward Chen Bing. After 108 days since the crime, Chen Bing was taken into custody on suspicion of involvement in his wife's death. Although he was interrogated several times, Chen Bing remained silent, and the police lacked clear evidence to definitively accuse him of being the murderer. However, Wu Guoqing and the major crimes investigation team didn't give up and soon made a significant breakthrough. Experts thoroughly analyzed the shoe prints at the scene and realized that, despite efforts to disguise them, the prints perfectly matched Chen Bing's shoes. At the same time, police discovered that Wang Ling had no history of sleep problems and had not purchased any sleeping pills, ruling out the possibility that she took the sedatives herself. Further investigation revealed that only 2 people were at home the night before the murder, making Chen Bing the prime suspect. A former classmate provided critical information, stating that Chen Bing and a few friends had once been gifted curved knives. Upon comparison, police found that the wounds on Wang Ling's body perfectly matched that type of knife. Although Chen Bing claimed that his knife had been lost a long time ago, this evidence led the police to conclude that he was the one responsible for his wife's death. The deeper the investigation went, the more of Chen Bing's crimes were exposed. In his role as head of the anti-corruption department in the Qindu district, he used his connections to borrow 4 million yuan, approximately $560,000, from a state-owned bank, secretly transferring the money under Wang Ling's name to the largest car dealership in Xi'an, earning 2 million yuan annually. Within just 6 years, Chen Bing had quietly accumulated over 12 million yuan, about $1.7 million. Moreover, in gambling circles, rumors abounded that Chen Bing was an unbeatable player, always coming out on top in every game. When he ran out of money at the gambling table, all he had to do was make a call to those seeking his favor, and they would promptly send money. Chen Bing not only abused his power, but also exhibited terrifying arrogance. After being appointed chief prosecutor, there was an incident where he took a taxi while wearing civilian clothes. When they arrived at the destination, the driver asked for payment, only for Chen Bing to coldly pull out a gun and say, "Do you know who you're asking for money? Look at who I am." The terrified driver thought he had just encountered a violent criminal and immediately reported the incident to the police after escaping the frightening situation. However, the case was swiftly covered up, leaving no trace in the records. Chen Bing continuously flaunted his arrogance. Just days before the crime, knowing he was about to be promoted to head of the Anti-Corruption Bureau, he boastfully declared at a party, "Who in Xianyang dares to touch me? If I'm not at peace, no one will live in peace." Even at a school reunion, he didn't hesitate to brag, saying that while he didn't have the power to appoint county officials, he could easily make them lose their jobs. A close friend of Chen Bing revealed that his arrogance didn't just stem from his personality, but also from the backing of higher powers. During his time as chief prosecutor, two major scandals occurred. First, a dangerous criminal mysteriously escaped during an interrogation and has remained at large ever since. Second, a suspect jumped from a building during a crime scene identification and died instantly. Normally, such incidents would result in the demotion or dismissal of a prosecutor, but Chen Bing remained unscathed, and his power only grew stronger. On February 18th, the police in the Qindu district of Xianyang City officially arrested Chen Bing for his involvement in the murder of his wife, Wang Ling. During the lengthy interrogation, with questions probing deeper into every detail of the case, Chen Bing could no longer conceal his guilt. Under relentless pressure from the police and mounting evidence, he was forced to confess to the entire sequence of events leading to his wife's murder. The confession not only exposed his heinous actions, but also revealed the dark side of Chen Bing, uncovering a series of tragic events that led to the crime he had tried to hide for so long. Chen Bing and Wang Ling had started their marriage in simplicity and sincerity. At that time, Chen Bing was just a physics teacher, while Wang Ling was an ordinary factory worker. They lived together with love, sharing both the hardships and joys of life. Their relationship was natural and gentle, yet deeply rooted. Every day they worked hard, not only to maintain their livelihood, but also to build a better future. Their dedication and perseverance became a great source of motivation, helping them overcome the early challenges of life. As time went on, Chen Bing began to attract the attention of his superiors. His intelligence and sharpness not only made him stand out, but also quickly earned him the support of influential people. In a short period of time, Chen Bing rapidly climbed the ranks, securing key positions. With each promotion, more power and wealth came his way. However, as his career advanced, the distance between him and his wife grew. The evenings they once spent together were now replaced by gatherings with people from the power elite. Wang Ling found herself left behind, feeling more and more like a stranger in the life she had once built with her husband. Although they initially tried to maintain their connection, Chen Bing's ambition and the pressures of life gradually caused the love between them to fade, creating irreparable cracks. Behind the facade of success, Chen Bing's life was increasingly filled with conflict and tension, with many complicated factors pulling him into what had once seemed like a perfect marriage. After achieving status and wealth, Chen Bing and Wang Ling were no longer the same. Their disagreements piled up and arguments became more frequent. Differences in both their personal and professional lives led Chen Bing to develop a deep resentment toward his wife, feeling that their marriage was no longer harmonious. Things reached a breaking point one evening when Chen Bing attended a party with friends. Knowing Wang Ling was nearby, he called her to join the party and later took her home. That night, Wang Ling had consumed some alcohol. Around 8 p.m., the two visited a friend named Wang, who lived on the 18th floor of a building, to view some paintings. During the conversation, Chen Bing expressed doubt about the authenticity of one of the paintings, suggesting it wasn't worth much. Wang Ling, believing he was mocking others, couldn't hold back and scolded him in front of everyone, causing Chen Bing to feel deeply humiliated. Enraged by the public embarrassment, Chen Bing's anger simmered and became uncontrollable as they made their way home. As they entered the house, the argument escalated into a heated shouting match. Wang Ling, with a cold demeanor, used harsh words to attack Chen Bing, constantly mocking him, which only fueled his anger. Finally, she retreated to the bathroom, leaving Chen Bing in the living room, feeling humiliated. Sitting alone, Chen Bing replayed his wife's bitter words in his mind, and combined with the influence of alcohol, a sinister thought began to form. He would kill Wang Ling. He recalled a business trip to Shenzhen where he had purchased 5 powerful sleeping pills. Without hesitation, he decided to act on his plan. Chen Bing quickly crushed the pills and mixed them into a glass of water. When Wang Ling emerged from the bathroom, he pretended to be remorseful, apologized, and handed her the glass. Unaware of the danger, Wang Ling drank the water and then went to bed. Chen Bing sat in the living room, his heart racing as he waited for the sedative to take effect. About an hour later, when Wang Ling had fallen into a deep sleep, Chen Bing decided to check on her. He found that Wang Ling was sound asleep, unresponsive even when he shouted her name loudly. However, when faced with the decisive moment, Chen Bing felt a wave of fear and hesitation. Despite the many arguments, Wang Ling was still a significant part of his life. For 3 hours, he sat there, wrestling with his emotions. But then he thought about the corruption documents Wang Ling had in her possession, along with her threats to expose the truth if he didn't comply with her demands, extinguishing any lingering sense of morality within him. Unable to bear the pressure any longer, and after hours of internal struggle, Chen Bing decided he had to act before things spiraled out of control. Around 4 a.m., Chen Bing began preparing for his brutal plan. He quietly put on white gloves, grabbed a nylon cord, and took the curved knife that his classmate had gifted him. As he walked into the bedroom, he called out Wang Ling's name, but there was no response. To ensure she wouldn't wake up, he quickly tied her up with the nylon cord. In a fit of rage, Chen Bing forcefully stabbed Wang Ling twice in the chest. Although she was already in a dazed state, she muttered weak, faint sounds. Fearing that her cries might be heard by someone, he quickly dropped the knife and gagged her with a piece of cloth. Not stopping there, he proceeded to slash her 2 more times, and it was the 4th strike that caused her to stop breathing entirely. But even after he ceased, he couldn't escape the haunting feeling. Wang Ling's eyes remained wide open, staring at him, as if casting an eerie curse that would follow him forever. In a state of frantic fear, Chen Bing hastily threw the knife aside and pulled a piece of cloth over her face, desperately trying to erase the horrific image from his mind. Finally, with his years of experience in the field, Chen Bing began staging the crime scene in a calculated and meticulous manner. First, he overturned the pillows and blankets on the bed to make it appear as though a violent struggle had taken place, trying to create the illusion that Wang Ling had fought back in desperation. His bloody fingerprints, left behind while wearing gloves, were carefully placed throughout the house to disguise the crime as a robbery gone wrong. He didn't stop there. He also ransacked drawers and closets, further adding to the staged evidence of a break-in. To make his act even more convincing, Chen Bing took an audacious step. He pulled out a brand new pair of shoes that had never been worn before and carefully walked around the house, creating footprints completely different in size from his own. As if that weren't enough, he even removed Wang Ling's underwear and placed a few strands of another man's hair in her genital area, constructing a scene as though the victim had been sexually assaulted before being killed. These cold and calculated details not only added complexity to the case, but also revealed the ruthless and inhumane nature of Chen Bing in attempting to cover up his crime. Once everything was arranged according to his plan, Chen Bing meticulously gathered all the items connected to him, from the curved knife he had used to the nylon cord and white gloves, and packed them all into a paper bag. Around 6 a.m., while the city was still shrouded in thick morning fog, he quietly left the house carrying the paper bag that held his secrets. As he approached the Weihai Bridge, he didn't hesitate to throw the bag into the river, letting the evidence sink deep into the water. Chen Bing then returned home, keeping his composure and pretending as if it were just another ordinary day. At about 7:40 a.m., he left for work, confident that everything had been perfectly staged. However, Chen Bing had no idea that his crime would be uncovered so quickly. Chen Bing's case quickly garnered public attention. On November 22, 2004, the People's Procuratorate of Xianyang City officially filed charges against Chen Bing, accusing him of serious crimes, including premeditated murder, illegal possession of weapons, and accepting bribes. The case was transferred to the Xianyang Intermediate People's Court for trial. However, due to privacy concerns, the trial was conducted behind closed doors, and details of the case were not made public. During this time, Chen Bing confessed to all charges, but at the first trial, held on January 17, 2005, Chen Bing suddenly recanted his entire confession. He denied the charges and claimed he was innocent. Furthermore, he had invested a large sum of money to hire defense attorneys to represent him. During the trial, Chen Bing made some shocking statements, claiming that during his interrogation, he was taken to room 313, a standard interrogation room from 1994. There, he described the torture he endured as extremely brutal, raising doubts about the authenticity of his previous confessions. He asserted that the torture had forced him to provide false testimony. However, the investigation report from the Shenyang City Police noted that, with many years of experience as a prosecutor, Chen Bing had a strong sense of counter-investigation during the interrogation process. While in detention, he refused to admit to the charges of murder. He also underwent several rounds of legal education and continuous re-education. These factors raised further doubts about the credibility of his statements and confessions, making the case even more complex. On April 5, 2004, Chen Bing finally fully confessed to his crimes in a detailed testimony during the trial. The police stated that no coercion was used during the collection of evidence and denied any allegations of using violence to extract a confession. At the trial, Chen Bing described his deteriorating health while in custody. He claimed that 2 cellmates could testify to his condition, as his legs had become severely swollen and he experienced significant pain in his arms for an extended period. The situation was so severe that he couldn't use the bathroom on his own and required assistance from others. Chen Bing also stated that during a brief period of detention in a particular building, a female staff member witnessed him being forced to confess under extreme pressure. The woman was so shocked that she accidentally shattered a hot water bottle. After the incident, the female staff member mysteriously disappeared, leaving no trace of where she went, raising suspicions and questions about the fairness and accuracy of the investigation. The disappearance of the female staff member raised doubts about the investigation methods and whether there were other undisclosed elements in the case. In response to Chen Bing's defense, the court stated that the building where he claimed to have been tortured was actually a police facility rented to handle cases. The interrogation of Chen Bing at this location was conducted in full compliance with the law. Investigators insisted that there was no coercion involved in obtaining his confession. Furthermore, the Shanxi Provincial Detention Center confirmed that when Chen Bing underwent a medical examination, no significant health issues were found, undermining his defense. As the media reported on the case, the motives behind Chen Bing's crime became a topic of speculation. Chen Bing's brother, Chen Xinmin, stated that Chen Bing didn't even have the courage to slaughter a chicken, so he found it hard to believe that his brother could be a cold-blooded, dangerous criminal. Moreover, at the time of the crime, Chen Bing was being considered for a promotion, which led many to question the motive behind such an act. Chen Bing's attorney also pointed out that the motive for committing the crime couldn't be solely explained by marital discord. While the act of stabbing his wife 21 times was horrific, without a reasonable motive, this alone wasn't convincing. The investigation lacked a clear motive, and crucial evidence such as the weapon, gloves, leather shoes, chemicals, and the cup containing sedatives had not been found. Some people questioned that if Chen Bing had truly committed the crime in his home and knew the police would investigate, why didn't he flee with the bribe money he had received? The charge of bribery alone in China could result in a severe sentence, regardless of whether he had killed his wife or not. Additionally, Chen Bing claimed to have put 5 sedatives into Wang Ling's glass of water. This would undoubtedly alter the taste of the water. So why would Wang Ling, after arguing with Chen Bing, drink the water without any suspicion? Moreover, if Chen Bing had no premeditated plan, how could he have obtained male body hair and placed it in Wang Ling's genital area? The entire case became increasingly complex and ambiguous during the trial. On the day of sentencing, the Shanxi Provincial Supreme Court issued a death sentence for Chen Bing. Before the execution, Chen Bing remained steadfast in telling his lawyer that he was innocent. It is reported that a leader at the Supreme People's Court learned in advance of the execution date and made a call to Shanxi to halt it. However, by the time the call was made, Chen Bing had already been executed by gunfire, and the sentence had been carried out. After the execution, Chen Bing's body was not released to his family but was quickly cremated. The questions surrounding the case remained unresolved, and in the end, no one could definitively say whether Chen Bing was truly the killer. Only Chen Bing knew the truth, and with that, the case came to an end. What do you think about the actions and crimes of the prosecutor in this case? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and let's discuss. Goodbye, and see you next time.